Well, good morning. We are starting a series of interviewing current and past presidents of the French Club and the French Club's Building Association, and in anticipation and preparation for the 100th anniversary celebration next year in 2025. So we're very happy and honored that Janine Manson has decided to join us today as our first guest. So we'll turn it over to Janine and give us a little biography of yourself first, so everybody knows who you are. And I forgot to introduce Dan and myself first of all, of course.
Everybody knows me.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me. That was so cool. Well, let's see. I don't even know where to begin, but my name is Janine Boucher Manson. So I went to St. Anne's School in Hartford, Connecticut, which was a French Canadian Catholic school. When we went there, of course, I didn't realize that so much until I grew up that we were all around our culture all the time, you know, more than anybody else. So it was a very comforting environment that way. And my first memories of the French Club, well, my father was active in the French Club back then. So they formed the French Club because all the migration to Hartford, Connecticut, there were places like the typewriter places and Pratt and Whitney and all that. So they all came down to be wage earners at the time when the Industrial Revolution, you know, was taking over farms and stuff like that. So so we had quite a big population, and they formed a social club for the members. That's how the club began. For the people in the community. So my father was a president in 1952, 51 and 52.
Fantastic.
And I was born in 53.
Wow.
So I don't know what happened there, but I came along, but I was one of 9 children. So so when we were young, my memories of the French Club were that we got to go there at Christmas time was the most exciting thing, because they always had a Santa Claus, and we went and we got presents. And that was like today, I mean, kids get, you know, toys and stuff all the time. Back then, it was a big deal when you got to get a present, you know. So, and it was so fun because all the families and everybody were there, and you played with other kids, but the parents were laughing and having a great old time, you know, and the place was packed, you know, every year. And so it ignited something in me that I didn't realize until years later when I left St. Anne's School and I went to like high school. And it was the first time that I realized that there were different cultures, and they were brought up differently, and we had different people in the world. You know, sounds crazy, but that's because we came from such a tight environment from our culture. So after I got married and I started to have my children, I met Evelyn Sorois through friends, our main connection, John Dion and, you know, Claude and Linda Rossignol and so forth. And Evelyn said, was talking about the French Club, and it kind of ignited something in me, you know, and she was saying, why don't you join? Why don't you come and, you know, maybe be part of the building association and all that. So I got excited about it. I started going to the club, and I found that it reignited in me something that was dormant for quite a long time, which was my connection to my background and my family and the community. And first I became a member of the building association, and then I became treasurer of the building association. And I stayed as a member of the building association for like 14 years with Evelyn. Evelyn did too, Evelyn Sorois. And in 1998, I became president. And I think, Dan, you were my secretary that year.
I was, yeah.
I believe. And I have to say that I was showing this picture before. In 1998, I was showing you guys, it's a picture of, I don't know if you can see it now, but it's Lynn Cowett with your little baby, your first little girl.
Yep.
And we were so excited to have you guys in the club because part of our kind of mission was the older people of the club were falling off. We didn't have a building when I joined the club yet. That's why I got on the building association. We were between clubs. And part of our goal was to start bringing in newer generations so that the club could live on.
It's
And
very,
it had,
very
it was-
similar to the challenges that we're facing today. actually.
yes, yes. And so, yeah, so let's see, where was I going? Yeah, so we were very happy to have you guys come along, but they had sold the club after many years on Park Street. I actually have a bio, which I can give you guys, a whole bio of, it's like a one-sheet thing about the history of how it all
Oh.
progressed.
We would love that.
I'd love to have that.
I mean, it's
yeah.
kind of, it's not too long to read, but that's not what we're doing right now, but I can give it to you.
We
And I
can
have
put
some
it- we're
pictures too.
We're gonna
Huh?
make a souvenir booklet for the 100th anniversary celebration, and we can put that in there as a,
Okay, so I have some things and you probably like that to put
Yes.
in. So we were, they sold the club to, yep,
so was the Park Street location the first location for the French Club?
yes, yes. In
It-
1925, it was bought for the intention of building it. It was incorporated in 1931, but in 1925 is when the beginning of the club.
Okay,
So when they sold that, at the time, I think Jacques Pelletier was the president. That was before me coming along. But they had bought they sold it to a Spanish organization that made it, a church. And
Mhm.
ironically, it was a church when we bought it in 1925, honestly. But so he bought property in South Windsor with the intention, he had a vision. And he had the intention of having this beautiful club that we would all build, and it would be, have hiking trails and different, sports we could do. And he had a vision, and it was beautiful. But problem was, I think that we got kind of cash poor during that because we had sunk the money into that property. So what were we gonna do? And we didn't have a club. So there was a couple of years or a few years we didn't have a club. So finally, Claude Rossignol said, let's look at this place. The Hockenham restaurant is closed down and they're gonna raze it, R-A-Z-E, raze it, like knock it down.
Mhm.
So so he contacted the people and he said, well, what if you could save the building and we could make some kind of an arrangement, that to keep the building and going and you get some profits out of it. So they were open to that. So we went and looked at it. It was pretty rough, but you know what that's like.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. And but we had the problem of no money. So we made this deal, which I've always been very proud of. We made this deal with them to do an accelerated lease. So we said, we'll give you, I think we gave them maybe a down payment, I'm not sure, but it was like zero money for 9 months. Then it was like a very small amount for the next 9 months and continuing till it got to like market value after a couple of years. And what the deal was we would do that, and we would fix up the building with our own people,
Mhm.
so they would actually end up with an asset,
Right.
basically. But they were giving us the opportunity to get a club going. So I thought it was pretty brilliant at the time. And it worked.
Great,
And
a
all the
win-win
people-
situation there.
Yeah, everybody, Bert Dufour, I think, was president at that time of the building, of the whole club. But anyway, all the men and women just jumped in, but the guys did a lot of work. It was all volunteer, no payment, no paid stuff except for materials and all that
Yep.
stuff. And it was just very exciting. And I remember when they built that beautiful bar, and it was it was very exciting. And so all of our vision came to be, and we ended up selling the land and so forth. So, but the new club I've been to now, it to me, I think to myself, well, maybe Jacques would like that a lot of his stuff came to fruition because he wanted to run a restaurant
Yeah.
more like, that kind of stuff. We wanted to do food and everything at the club at the time, in East Hartford, but it just wasn't coming together. There's a
Yeah.
lot to worry about when you're doing that,
Right.
and so anyway, that's all the history. But when I was president, I think, and you were secretary, the challenge was, like I said, to get new people in, and we had old rules that were just, like, only you had to be a
Yeah.
certain, what is it? I can't remember the percentage, French and so
Yeah.
forth. And we weren't pulling people in. So we were trying to expand those laws a little bit. It was very controversial because it became the young against the, which happens in all clubs, what I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
not just ours, but we were in that growth period. So we didn't manage to change the laws to allow them to let other people in, but they at least let the spouses come in. That was one thing we gained, So yeah, so we finally got our club up and going. In 1998, we had the ribbon cutting and the mayor came, and we were all, dressed nice, and we had a party after to celebrate. And so that's how it took off. Yep.
I remember those years fondly. That was early on in our marriage. Dan became the secretary, like you said. And what was the membership, Dan? It went from a couple hundred
Yeah,
to
yeah, there was like 200 and it went all the way to 600 and within like a month or two.
yeah. And Dan and I were at home trying to keep up the member list and get the cards out. And it was a trying time, to say the least.
And there was no computer. We didn't use computer. It was all right.
Oh,
cards.
yeah.
And we were doing the bulletin and we're fighting.
No.
was a-
No.
A good test of an early marriage, and here we are almost
Yeah.
30 years later. So that's awesome.
Yep. Well,
That's some
Yeah.
great information to have. If I can ask a couple questions back to your earlier influence, did your parents immigrate here from Canada?
yes, well, my father came straight from Canada to the Park Street area. That's where he
Okay.
lived initially. My mom came to Lowell, Massachusetts, where the mills were.
Yeah.
Yes.
And my grandmother and my grandfather at the time, but we never knew what happened to him, but he ended up leaving at some point. But that's where they were, and my grandmother worked all the time, and they had 8 children too, and they're home. And then my one of her sisters came to Hartford to work at Royal Typewriter, I think it was,
Yeah.
or Underwood, one of those, and she brought the family over to Hartford. That's how we got there. Yeah. But
Awesome.
they spoke French in the home. I was at the younger end of the family, but my older brothers and sisters spoke French fluently because there was a lot in the home. But we became a little more anglicized by the time I got there,
Exactly like my kids. The first 2 are really strong in French, and they kind of petered off with number 3.
Yeah,
Not
They
on
would-
purpose.
they would talk to each other in French,
There you
especially
go.
if they were mad or something, or they didn't want us to know what they were saying.
Exactly. I guess the last question would be, because we promised you, 15 to 20 minutes. We want to be respectful of your time as well. But what are your hopes for the French Club at this stage?
Well, I live in Suffield now, so I'm quite a ways from Vernon. I
Mhm.
have been there. I met my friend there a couple times to play pool, and I was so impressed with the French club. I'm open to being a member again. I just let my membership kind of slide there,
Oh boy.
but I know. Now I gotta sign up. Well, we live in
Are you
Florida.
a member of the face group page at least, so you'll be able to see your interview?
Oh, yes, I will.
Okay.
I actually live in Florida 6 months of the year, so
Yeah.
also, and I come back I love Connecticut though. I come back in the spring and summer and all that.
Nice.
But
That's why it's important to get the younger generation involved, because at one point, Dan and I will be in your shoes and
right.
really traveling in our Winnebago across the country and not here to do all these fun events.
Well, I was excited to see. I mean, I guess I might have seen things through different eyes walking in because of being so involved
Yeah.
with it for years.
Yeah.
So I saw that, they do let people come in.
Yep.
Yeah.
more than this whole, are you French and are you this and that? So
Yeah.
it was really nice because it expanded it, and the club is beautiful, well run. I don't know who's in charge of running it, if it's still, I'm friends with Joanne Grondin, and
Yeah.
that's her brother, is Patrick. So I
Yeah,
don't know if he's still
Patrick
doing
was a
it, but
big involvement in the
Yeah, to get
construction in the new club.
and there's the management of it because it's really well run with food in the bar and all that. It
Mhm.
seems to be
Yeah.
anyway.
and it's a mix between a lot of volunteers still and some paid employees at this
Yeah.
point. So they do a nice job.
Yeah, there's a lot of people involved, and also sometimes you're like concerned because there's a lot of people thinking and their way. Usually a person who owns a bar he decides all the thing, and now we have a board. So sometimes it's difficult, but
Of course.
I'm very happy the way it is now. We still
Are
have
you
to tweak some stuff, but
are you guys officers there now?
yeah, I'm the vice president, and Lynn's the treasurer on the building association.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, but
We try not to have,
so
really.
they're trying to have us on the board for the French club. But if you remember, like we had Zoe, we could do both, and so we're alternating for meetings, and we were
Right.
talking about it. So we're gonna switch. I think Lynn's gonna go on the French club, and I'll go in the building next year.
Only
Ah.
because they are in need of a treasurer, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the
I'll-
problem is the new French club now. It's like a business. There's a lot of money going in, and we need to figure out to have it like how you can say that, Linda. So like
Financial system and
yeah,
processes,
system.
Yeah.
So right now was iffy a little bit, but
just
we're
a lot
gonna
of
get it. We're
doing
gonna
their,
get there.
not necessarily having accounting background, so.
Yeah,
Well, you're definitely got a business going there.
Yeah.
correct.
And I'm proud to see it. I'm happy to see it, because it looks like people are excited about going. They're enthusiastic, and you have music, and
Yeah,
you kind of brought the vision back, the
Yeah.
whole,
Yeah.
it's gone full circle in 100 years. That's what the club was like,
Yeah.
so
And
that was cool.
I kind of feel like what you said about Claude, that we were looking for a new place and I found this one and it was a sight for sore eyes, let me tell you. We thought we had a lot of work to do and then we got in there and it was probably twice as much as what we
Yeah.
anticipated, but
It always is. It always is. Yeah.
the vision really came together and
Okay, we have a minute. Okay,
we're proud. 1 minute left.
yeah, about
Perfect timing then. Look at that. We did it. Our first
I
interview.
want to talk more. No.
Yeah, but and we're so thankful, Janine, that you said yes, because I think now,
we got about 9 minutes.
okay, that's okay. We're wrapping up. We think now that we're able to post this, that hopefully it'll encourage other former presidents and key people in the history of the French Club to do the same. I think these are going to be wonderful memories to have. And I hope, we're still here when they're celebrating their 125th anniversary and so far down the lane. So
But
I want
Tuesday-
to remind you of one thing that we did. It was just a fun thing. This isn't, but do you remember that some of us got together as a choral group, a French choral group, and we
Yeah.
decided to do a fundraiser.
Oh
And
yeah,
our fundraiser was to be singing telegrams.
yes. you
And
came
I
to
think
my
it was
office.
Valentine's Day, and we came to your office.
Yes.
'Cause Dan hired us. He gave us money.
Yes.
We came to your office and sang for you.
It was amazing. That was so wonderful. And you guys sounded superb. Great.
that was you and
Actually-
Evelyn, right? That was you and
Me and
Evelyn.
Evelyn, and it was Doreen Clappus and was Suzanne in it? I can't remember. There was a handful of us, but
I
and
love
also my daughter and son-in-law weren't married or anything. They were just dating, and we went to his office and sang, and I
Oh
thought
my-
he was gonna die. Because he was like, "What?" But we had so much fun, and people loved it, and so that's a good idea for a
Back
fundraiser.
on our list of things so that we could rekindle. I like that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's
So-
cool.
When
Meaningful.
you're around, maybe you can help us lead that charge, Janine.
Well, I'm 70 years old now, and I'm in a band in
Really?
Florida. Yeah, we don't sing out a lot. We sang at a yacht club for New Year's Eve 2 years in a row. We did a 44 song set, And so I'm living my rock and roll dream now, so
Wow,
makes me
maybe we
happy.
can arrange to have you come do an event at the French Club. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be fun.
Are you still
All
playing
right.
guitar? You were a guitarist, right?
Yeah, I play guitar. I'm
Okay.
left-handed, but yep,
My
play
God.
guitar.
Oh, cool.
That's
Well.
cool. What's the guy that plays on the Eddie Van Allen here? That's
So-
funny.
You want to close it out, Dan?
No, you can go. I had something else I want to talk about, but it's hopefully we're going to see you at the 100th anniversary party on the May 3rd, and it's nice that see you, and thank you very much for to be here with us and talk about your life with the French Club, and hopefully we'll see you at the club again. Now, hopefully I'll see you there when you go, and so nice to talk with you today and took the time to be with us, me and Lynn, and that's awesome. Thank you.
It's another full circle because it's just like I said, it's showing you with your first little
I
girl.
know.
And yes, thank you so much too. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I will make all efforts to be there if we're back from Florida. Otherwise, I'll send you a video.
There you go. I'll take it in a day. I take
All
care.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.